España sabe que decir socialismo es decir paro. Fernando Simón, aquí en esta casa le llaman doctor Simón, ni ha hecho el doctorado, ni ha hecho el MIR, ni es doctor, ni nada que se le parezca. Ese señor que se fue de vacaciones 2 veces en plena pandemia, yo creo que, en fin, la credibilidad de este señor yo no la comparto con usted.
Buenas noches, amigos de Estado de Alarma. Esto es el CSEGUÍ, como cada martes. El martes pasado, en esta sección habitual, entrevistamos al analista de inteligencia de Agana Consulting, Johan Obdola, en una entrevista que, sinceramente, fue magnífica. Arrojó datos absolutamente inéditos y prohibidos en la mayoría de los medios de comunicación españoles en manos del gobierno de Sánchez y de Podemos. Principales protectores interesados, obviamente, por motivos clarísimos, en no entregar al jefe de inteligencia chavista y castrista a Estados Unidos por sus conexiones con los cárteles narcoterroristas venezolanos patrocinados por el gobierno de Chávez y Maduro, cuyos tentáculos, además, son muchísimo más extensos de lo que ustedes se puedan imaginar. En países no solamente como España, como Portugal, como Brasil, como muchos otros países de Iberoamérica implicados en el Foro de Sao Paulo. Hoy reafirmamos el compromiso de este canal, mi compromiso personal, en seguir destapando la vergüenza de este caso que compromete gravemente la seguridad nacional de nuestro país. Con esta entrevista a Joao Lemos Esteves, un colaborador de infinidad de medios internacionales, un especialista en geopolítica, él escribe en medios como el Jornal da Cidade brasileño y es autor del libro The Day of Donald Trump. Es un verdadero placer contar contigo, Joao. Esta entrevista va a ser en inglés, prácticamente toda. Él contestará en inglés, pero yo creo que es muy fácil de comprender. How are you, Joao?
I hope so. Hi, Cristina. How are you doing? It's a great honor to be here with you. Great monologue, by the way, and I can confirm that your last show was a great show. I watched it, and I really love it. And it's so important what you're doing, and congrats. And it's a great honor to be here. I could not be in better company than you.
We are together against the communists in this fight against the communism. And I think that you are a great value to this channel, and our audience is very lucky to have you tonight.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate your words.
How is going your book sales, actually?
Well, the book sales, I think for a book about President Trump in Portugal, I think has done very well. Clearly exceeded my expectations. The book is sold out in many stores, in major booksellers in Portugal. So for a book that is about Trump and that face numerous various try and attempts to boycott the book, I think the audience and the readers responded and replied very well, and so that you have an idea. Excluding that lunatics and morons from the far left and their channels in the mainstream media that like to humiliate, and they are sponsored, and we will talk about that, who are backing them to humiliate and to degrade people. Besides that, the real people, the people who actually have to face daily routine, daily life challenges, they just reply very well. I just received a very positive feedback. I have no bad words. I received no bad words about the book, besides the ones who are activists and they have to they had to do their job, right? They have to do their job because they are sponsored, they are paid to do that, and we have to understand that and fight back.
You have to write another one about Bolsonaro, which is the one of the biggest weapons against communism as well.
Yeah, Brazil is so important. Brazil is our hope in South America, that freedom can win and can beat socialism and communism.
That's all. I'm going to make you the question in Spanish because you understand Spanish, but you are going to answer in English, so that's fine, ¿ok?
Okay,
Tú describes a El Pollo como una persona manipuladora, con algunas adicciones fatales y con un ego gigantesco que le ha traído problemas hasta con Hugo Chávez y con Tarek El Aissami. Un tipo que además tiene poca paciencia, pero que consigue escapar de España a Portugal, cambia de identidad en Villarreal, una región casi colindante con España, se asienta en Estoril, escapa del radar de la Interpol gracias al apoyo de políticos de izquierdas e incluso con la derecha portuguesa y la española. ¿Puedes dar más detalles sobre este tema que hasta ahora ha sido tan desconocido para la opinión pública española porque su gobierno, nuestro gobierno, se ha encargado de ocultarlo?
Yeah, sure. First and foremost, do not forget that General Carvajal Pollo is a criminal, okay? So he's a grifter, he's a drug trafficker, and let's not sugarcoating like the left loves to do. Pollo is a criminal, he's a narco trafficker, he's a drug trafficker, and he's a terrorist supporter and a financier. But in terms of personability, Pollo is a very it's a very unstable man, and that is one of his weaknesses. He has many, according to some reports, he has some personal addictions, including some reports are telling that he is a cocaine addict himself. He has a drinking problem, and that can be a little bit, if not much, disturbing at crucial moments of his life, of his career as a drug trafficker. And as do not forget also that he is a drug trafficker, but he is connected to a regime. And Pollo had in the past political aspirations. Pollo wanted to be one of the successors of Hugo Chavez. He had that belief and that self-confidence that he could be one of the major political successors of Hugo Chavez in Venezuela. So he had a political plan. He wanted to be a political leader. And one of the reasons why Hugo Chavez and then Maduro kind of never wanted to have Pollo in the government as a political in the common sense of political, right? Cabinet was that Hugo Carvajal Pollo is very unstable, and he has no sense of loyalty. I mean, he is loyal to the Venezuelan regime, to Hugo Chavez, because that is convenient for him. But do not forget that, for example, he tried to reach out to Guaido in the past. I consider that was more like a publicity move in order to construct his legal defense than other things, than any other substantial reaching out and a substantial switch from the democratic side in Venezuela. But he's very unstable. He is always, Hugo Carvajal is always for sale. If he is an egocentric man, he's very self-absorbed, and so that's why he's not very well considered by some of the Venezuela regime top leaders, but is convenient for the Venezuela regime because he's a ruthless. He's a guy who is capable of doing anything. He's ruthless, and he serves whoever he gotta serve. And
how
okay, Christine.
How many do you think? How many politics from Brazil, from Portugal, from Spain can be in his pockets in this moment? Oh, perdona, te lo acabo de decir en inglés. ¿Cuántos políticos puede tener bajo su control o en su bolsillo en este momento? Porque nadie puede estar 3 años alejado de la justicia con estos antecedentes.
Of course, a lot. Venezuela regime and Pollo in particular. Remember that Pollo is a guy from the Intel, from the Venezuela Intel services. In the moment, in a time when the Venezuela services were strong, and he got training from Cuba, so he's a guy who knows how to buy people, how to forge loyalty in other people. So he got a lot of people in his pocket. He got a lot of Portuguese and Spanish politicians, and not only politicians, businessmen, media, and so he has a lot. And one of the things that is very interesting, and we can see a pattern here. In Venezuela, in Cuba, in Iran, because they pretty much work all together. Again, Venezuela, when we say Venezuela, we are including the Cuban intel service, because Venezuela actually does not have a strong, Venezuela relies on Cuba. So,
yeah.
And so the modus operandi of Cuban intel service, and that is, they have they always play by the book. They have this philosophy that you gotta pick the right people at the right places. You gotta understand in each community who are the people who can save you in any time when you are in trouble. They know how are the people most vulnerable to their enchantment, right? To their what they have to offer, and that is the kind of things that Hugo Carvajal Pollo is specialist. Hugo Carvajal Pollo, beyond and besides all that vicious and that personal problems that he has, is a very diplomatic guy. That's why the Venezuela and the Chavez Maduro regime never, even Tarek al-Assami, who personally does not like Pollo a lot, but he understands that Pollo is essential to their strategy, because Pollo has qualities, has virtues that no one in Venezuela regime has. And one of these qualities, one of these capacities, is their diplomatic talent. He knows how to charm people. He knows how to buy people. He knows how to, because he's so vulnerable, that he projects his vulnerabilities in other people. And so he managed to create this huge network of the right people at the right places that enable him to defy the Spanish legal system, and defy very well, because he ran away for the first time, he ran away for the second time, and now is defying again for the third time. And one of the things that most impressed me the most is how Pollo blackmails the judicial system, blackmails the Spanish state.
Do you think that is it the case of Spain as well? When we are talking about justice and how vulnerable can be our justice right now?
Yeah. So that you have an idea, Cristina. In fact, Pollo did not present a legal defense. It did not present legal arguments. What Pollo has said to in the Audiencia Nacional, one of the highest courts in Spain, and the court which has the authority to decide the question of extradition of Pollo to the United States, he did not present a legal case. He did not show a legal rationale. What he did, however, on the contrary, was to threaten Spanish politicians.
That's right.
So he threatens your government. So the government and the Spanish, despite all the differences that we might and we have towards this government, is the Spanish government, is the Spanish state. So, and you have a guy, a narco trafficker, connected with one of the most criminal regime on earth that says, you wanna arrest me? You wanna send me to the United States applying your law? I tell you what, no. Your law will be what I say you to do. So this is huge. This is very problematic because a criminal regime, a narco trafficker, is beyond the state, and he's saying that if you send me to the United States, I burn your country into flames. You will burn. You will be miserable. You will face hell. So this is problematic. So and for me the most even the most critical thing is if the Spanish government caves in. Because if the Spanish government caves in, the Spanish government will lose all its authority.
Well, Joao, the fact of the matter is that Pollo is in partnership with PSOE and Podemos. So they are socios. If Pollo falls, maybe PSOE and Podemos falls as well.
Yeah, that's precisely the argument that Pollo is doing. But if the government caves in, the government will be acknowledging Pollo's argument. Is acknowledging that Pollo is explosive argument, explosive information that confirms all what has been saying out there, right? So if the government and to give you another comparison, right? Look, in Cape Verde, Alex Saab was arrested there, and the modus operandi adopted by Alex Saab was exactly the same, to blackmail the Cape Verde government. However, it was not so outspoken, saying that if you send me to the United States, I will tell you what you government, you ministers.
That's Tarek El Alsami.
Yeah, that's Tarek El Alsami. As I call him, the drug man. Is the real drug man. But and the terrorist man, Iran man. So, but in Cape Verde, he did not attack the ministers individually, but he said that the government of Cape Verde would be hostage of the United States. So it was a huge operation set up by the CIA. So it was the CIA who put the drug in Alex Saab, and remember the Venezuela propaganda was telling back then that the real drug traffickers were the CIA agents, right? It was all an operation made up by the CIA. So the attack was not individually to the minister, but it was, you are the man of the CIA. You are orchestrated by the CIA. And now in Spain, the situation is even more serious. The MO, the modus operandi is exactly the same, but now it's saying that I will drag you down. I will drag you down because I have exclusive information on you. And I can tell you, Cristina, that in Audiencia Nacional, Hugo Carvajal Pollo has promised that if he flies away, he is extradited to the United States, he will denounce a major banker, Spanish banker, and a bank
A banca.
and which is right, and besides that, another one that I'm not allowed to give you the name just now, maybe another show, but another bank, very influential bank in Spain, very connected with the Socialist Party and Podemos, and also to bring down Portuguese and Spanish politicians. It is confirmed, and Hugo Polo is ready to confirm that Podemos is paid by Iran, by Venezuela and Iran, and that some of the political decisions taken by Podemos was cozy up with Iran, with the Ayatollah regime. So this is huge stuff, and let's see if Sanchez has the gut to defend Spain and not defend his partners in Venezuela and Podemos. Look, I remember when the media was telling that this was remember that Hugo Pollo said at first that it was a plot made up by Trump. Was President Trump in Twitter that wanted to have Pollo in the United States to make some revenge, and remember that the asylum plea that Pollo filled to the Spanish government was based on the fact that he was a political refugee because Donald Trump was looking for him on Twitter, right? On Twitter. So it makes a refugee. But now the most impressive thing is that the administration has changed, but the United States and the DEA has done a great job, and there's really anything has changed regarding Venezuela and regarding the Department of Justice policy regarding the fight against narcotics, against terrorism, and specifically regarding Pollo. But the situation is the same, right? So the media is silent. The mainstream media, which is quite fascinating, right? It's fascinating because the media are talking all the time about human rights, about democratic institutions, about the need to defend our constitutional order. But now we have a guy, a drug trafficking, from a regime who does not care about human rights, right? A criminal. The administration has changed. But still, there's no news about Pollo. This topic, this situation regarding Pollo is hidden by the mainstream media, which is quite fascinating, right? And Sanchez keep trying to get to President Biden and to be received, be welcome in the White House. But
do you remember that video where Joe Biden walks along the corridor in a leadership, in a big and important leadership meeting, and Presidente Sanchez, intended to bump into Biden to talk with him, just to pretend that for the media that he was someone for Biden. Do you remember that video?
Yeah, I remember. But that was pretty much the only time Pedro Sanchez has ever get close to Joe Biden. And by the way, it's interesting to note that in Portugal and in Spain, there are people who keeps trying to be welcomed by the United States Embassy, either in Portugal or in Spain, but especially in Spain, and the United States are not welcome them. So that is a pretty clear sign that this government and Podemos and all this group and the Cuban, because let's talk to the master, right? Let's talk to the master. The Cubans will not fool around with us any longer.
Let's go for a second to somewhere else, to Portugal, because we are talking about politics from Portugal and Spain and Brazil. And so far we know that Pollo escapes on a private jet from a Portuguese company. I tell you, you know that it's Mota Angel. It's from the enterprise Mota Angel to Brazil to undergo plastic surgery received, and finally supported by the Brazilian politicians close to Lula and supporters of the Venezuelan narco-terrorist regime. Which are this guy? Because they are involved in a big case of in a scandal called Car Wash, who started in 2014.
Okay, the Lava Jato
Yes.
in Brazil.
Yes.
Yeah. So So imagine this. Hugo Carvajal Pollo first, even before the decision by the Spanish by the Spanish court on the extradition, because it's important to remember that the Spanish court ruled that Hugo Pollo, according to the Spanish law, so that jibber jabbering, that BS talk that this is American imperialism. It's not American imperialism. It's the execution of a Spanish court decision. But even before that, Pollo ran from Spain to Portugal, to Vila Real, to a public notary, to change his identification, to change his name, and to get a Portuguese passport. And at that time, he got a Portuguese passport, which was found when the DEA with the Spanish Special Force Police and after Israeli intelligence indication, he was arrested in Madrid, was found in his apartment. But so that's the first contact that we have registrations of. We know for a fact that he changed the name in Vila Real. Then, and this one is more problematic. This show clearly the network dominated by Pollo in Portugal and Spain, and these networks are working together and facilitating Pollo escape away to run away and to escape from Spanish judicial system. Pollo ran away from Madrid with an execution of a Spanish court decision to be executed, right? Pending execution of a judicial order pending. He ran away from Spain to Portugal, to Lisbon. In Lisbon, in a city very beautiful, by the way, near Lisbon, Estoril. He stayed there in a luxury condominium, because that's one thing. Hugo Pollo is always luxury, okay? So even when he escapes and when he's run away from justice, and he's a desperado, he's a bad hombre desperado, he continues to live in a luxury, always luxury.
So he was not hidden in a hole or something like that?
No,
He was in a luxury hotel?
luxury hotel, right? A condominium, always the best, always the finest for Lopollo. It shows the maniac persona that he is, right? That he has, because these kind of people think they are gods. They have like a divine touch. They are above anyone else. They are above the common, the ordinary people. They are above states, so they are like kings, right? That's a common trace in every Hugo Chavez, Maduro, Cuban elite. That's common. They in the media they pretend that they are ordinary people. They are social warriors. They care about the little guy, but then they love luxury. That's a trace, a psychological characteristic, identification of everyone of these guys. So then because you know that in Cascais there is an international airport in Tires, and from Tires, and yes, I think it is already public, and it was confirmed by Lopollo, by the way, as far as I know. Lopollo flew away to Brazil in a private jet, which was paid by that majestic Portuguese corporation named Motengil. And so he flew to Brazil, according to informations that were putting together by DEA and Mossad, the Israel intelligence services. He flew to Brazil. In Brazil, he received a passport again. He got a Brazilian passport, because Hugo Pollo has 4 passports. He's a 4 passport holders, and these 4 passports is the ones that we know, right? So he got passports from Uruguay, from Brazil, from Portugal, and from Cuba. This is very interesting, because Hugo Pollo, before he stayed at Estoril in a luxury condominium, Hugo Pollo stayed in the Cuba embassy with the support of the Cuban embassy. And he got a Cuban passport. The question is whether or not this Cuban passport is a diplomatic passport, and if it's a diplomatic passport, if it is a valid diplomatic passport. And because this is important, because we have to be very attentive to that, because Hugo Pollo can run away again, right? And then invoke that he is a Cuban passport, a diplomatic passport holder, and try to what he's trying to do in Spain.
Today, Audiencia Nacional say that is not going to free Pollo Carvajal, is not going to let him go. So he must be now in jail for at least for a while.
Yeah, but even so, in guys like Hugo Carvajal, you have to be always with your eyes wide open.
Yeah.
Because there are there's a lot of people who are in jail, and some of the remember, this is the guy who defined, who talked to all the Venezuelan top leaders how to escape, how to maneuver in foreign countries. This is the guy of the Venezuelan intel services, right? So
the fact is that there are dozens of businessmen and high-level politicians who, at the same time, must know judges and people related to justice. So that's something that gets concerned to people, because people doesn't believe in justice in this country. So it means a big problem.
Yeah, yeah. But now I think it's a test to the Spanish judicial system, and again, but one thing is for sure. I think either way, Hugo Pollo will go to the United States. Will go to the United States, and why? Even because everyone in Spain, even Podemos and Pedro Sanchez, knows this. In Cape Verde, when related to Alex Saab, the United States had CIA special force, the so-called Delta Force, ready to intervene and to take Alex Saab to the United States, to Florida, to Miami, where he is at the Federal Detention Center, in case that something in the Cape Verde judicial system went wrong, right? So because what another thing is the Turkish Erdogan was ready to help Alex Saab, because Turkey has some connections with Alex Saab. We help Alex Saab in many circumstances. Some people in the Turkish political sphere have connections and were part of Alex Saab network. So they were very afraid. They are very afraid what Alex Saab might say as well. So Erdogan, in collusion with Maduro, they had also a helicopter to bring Alex Saab to Turkey. So, and the United States sent a powerful message by sending the Delta Force, which is a hiked up CIA training to take Alex Saab back to the United States. So, in this case, in Lopollo, it will be the same.
Yeah.
Because many people in Portugal and Spain think that the United States are sleeping. And they think that the United States are no longer care about Europe, and they don't care about that the intel services of the United States might be sleeping or something else. But they know that this is no longer truth, if ever was true, right? And so they know that this guy has a powerful connection with Hezbollah. And Hezbollah is a major threat, is a major danger for all of us, for all our communities, because Hezbollah is a terrorism, international terrorism franchise. So, and we know that Mossad and the United States intel are very attentive to what Spanish will decide on this one. And again, if this government does not let Alex Saab, Hugo Carvajal Pollo, to be extradited to the United States, is a major insult to the Spanish people, because the government will not respect a court decision.
Spain seems like a huge suite to welcome the worst rabbis of the world. I mean, Hezbollah, Cubans, and Chavistas.
Let me just turn the light on.
Okay, sorry.
That's the technical.
Yeah, that's better. We can see you better now. I reckon right now, 2 years ago, suddenly, well, not suddenly, because he was going to sit his ass in the justice the following day. A guy was going to talk a lot about Chavistas, Podemos, and PSOE, and suddenly appeared in Alcobendas, hanging himself. Apparently he killed himself in Spain, in Madrid. So maybe can happen the same to Carvajal. Do you think that Carvajal is finally going to be handed over to American justice?
I think it will be. I think it will be one way or another. I think it will. Look, we are tired of this hide and seek game, right? And so this hide and seek game must stop. And this is the moment to stop. And this is the moment where we must held the government and these guys, these socialists or communists or any other party elsewhere, because if you are complicit with the Venezuela drug trafficking cartel and this huge network, I gotta tell you, you are a criminal as well, right?
Yeah.
And so this must stop. And this is the moment to make those people held accountable. We must hold these people accountable, right? And so we'll not play this hide and seek no longer, okay? And so this time is going to the United States. He's going to face the United States judicial system. Look again. How could Spain? How could even this government, okay, even Pedro Sanchez, how could Pedro Sanchez justify that a guy who was condemned to be extradited to the United States by a Spanish court is a refugee because a president of the United States writes tweets, right?
Yeah.
It make no sense. And if you compare with Cape Verde and Alex Saab, I think that Hugo Carvajal Pollo is a even more sophisticated and dangerous criminal than Alex Saab. So how could the Spanish government look at the Cape Verde, right? Government.
Yes.
I don't think even Pedro Sanchez would have the nerve to defend and to protect this guy, this criminal Lopollo. But going back to Brazil, well, we know for all along that Venezuela is and Cuba again, they are entangled, right? We know that they want to interfere in Brazil politics.
Yes.
They have done this for far long, right?
Yes.
And they want to do that again. And they
and in the Spanish as well, because that's why Podemos warned.
Yeah.
Yes.
But in Brazil it's interesting because the guys who are the Cuban representatives there, the Cuban guys there are exactly the same as the Venezuela and the Iranian ones. So in Brazil there are Hezbollah bases.
Yes.
And that are connected with drug trafficking and a cocaine drug trafficker, and they have a major network in Brazil. A major network. Hezbollah is infiltrated in Brazil to an extent that is so worrisome. And and you're totally right. Hugo Carvajal Pollo was backed by some of the politicians who were referred to and who were facing charges in the Lava Jato car wash lawsuit in prosecution, and so they are very connected. So there is a political party in Brazil, the Socialist Party, the so-called PT.
Yes. Lula's party.
Lula da Silva, right? Lula da Silva party, who are captured by the Venezuela top elite, political elite. And look, Brazil will be organizing elections for the president of Brazil next year.
Yes.
And one of the things that most worries me is that Venezuela and Cuba will not just use rhetoric or propaganda to try to influence the election.
Yeah.
They will be they will be very
that's for the Sao Paulo.
They will burn streets. They will stop at nothing to try to put the Lula da Silva again in Brazilian presidency.
Yeah, they are Foro de Sao Paulo as Zapatero and other guys. Joao, let's see the following picture to introduce this guy, which is Loureiro, Manuel Díaz Loureiro.
Yeah.
This is an interesting guy because he has obvious connections with Zapatero and other Portuguese and Brazilians politicians. Who is this guy? And which are his connection with Raúl Morodo and Zapatero?
Well, first and foremost, you're right. This is Manuel Dias Loureiro. Manuel Dias Loureiro was a very influential politician in Portugal during the 90s and even in this century. From a political party called PSD, the Social Democratic Party, the center-right party. He was very influential in PSD. We gotta be honest. Zapatero, Zé Luís Zapatero, as a large the network of Zapatero is very, very huge. It's something. Zapatero is the real Hugo Chavez. Okay, it's the real Hugo Chavez in Europe, and pretty much is loved by the Cuba and Venezuela regime. Is more like Chavez like than Maduro. I guess Zapatero has more of the Chavez stamina, of the persona than Maduro himself. But so in Portugal, he is very influential. Zapatero is protected by the media. It's overwhelming. I can tell you a personal experience. Once I wrote an article to try to tease to see how they would react if I put out there some information about Zapatero. And Cristina, it was overwhelming. I never seen anything like that. In Portugal, they mobilize digital militias to defend Zapatero, to attack and defend Zapatero in Portugal, from all the parties. I mean, from the Communist Party, from Communist Party not so, but Bloco de Esquerda, Socialist Party. Whoa, come on, you can't say anything about Zapatero. It's crazy. If you say something negative about Zapatero, they go nuts. They lost their mind. They lose their mind. It's unbelievable. But even PSD and CDS, it's brutal. I can tell you that by that time, they even pressured the Israel ambassador to defend Zapatero. It was crazy. Can you imagine, Cristina?
Yes.
The state, even state department, Portuguese governmental departments try to pressure the Israel ambassador to defend Zapatero. And it's crazy. So I realized I see firsthand how Zapatero is moving. How Zapatero is the most powerful guy in Iberian Peninsula.
Yeah, he's maybe the boss of that big and evil enterprise that is Foro de Sao Paulo. With Díaz-Canel.
Yes, the boss is Darth Vader, right? Their God, right? They preach, they pray to the Zapatero, to God Zapatero. But but it's true. Manuel Dias Loureiro, and by the way, Manuel Dias Loureiro, the real guy of Zapatero in Portugal is named José Sócrates, right?
Yes.
The former Portuguese prime minister. They were prime ministers at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
What a hell, right? What a hell.
Yeah.
What did we do to deserve that? But so he was a prime minister at the same time as Zapatero. They were very close. and the current Portuguese foreign minister is also a guy from José Sócrates and close to Zapatero, and that explain why, for example, the Minister of Foreign Affairs who likes to send messages using journalists, right? And try to send some jokes using journalists. He try he hide information, intel from the United States. For example, he pressured the Portuguese intel services not to allow the then United States ambassador, Mr. George Glass, to meet Guaido and to get access to the Guaido's ambassador in Portugal when Guaido stopped in Portugal in the VIP Lisbon International Airport.
Well, so we found out some days ago that Guaido had 25 millions in Spain, which is absolutely mad.
Yes.
25 million.
Yeah. Of course, Guaido and the United States and Israel intel services had that information long ago. That Guaido was not exactly what we expected him to be, right? But we know that. But the truth is that back then we suppose that Guaido could be the change that we needed. What happened with Guaido was that when you don't have backbone, right? When you don't have backbone, you split very quickly and you just go with the wind. And I think that was what happened with Guaido. But yes, but you're right. Dias Loureiro. Now remember, during the José Sócrates years, Dias Loureiro presented a book about José Sócrates. José Sócrates was the golden boy of politics. It was the future of politics. So, and in Portugal back then, it was really a surprise to see a guy from the right to present a book, a complimentary book.
Yes.
A book who said basically that José Sócrates was the statesman of all times, a socialist guy. So it was very impressive to see a guy from the right say such good things about a guy like José Sócrates, right? The Zapatero boy in Portugal.
Yeah.
And so Dias Loureiro, it is true that Dias Loureiro presented Sócrates as the golden boy, and it's true, it's public that the Dias Loureiro daughter is married with Morodo's son.
Yes.
So there's here a family connection.
Yeah. Business.
Yeah.
What an enterprise.
Yeah,
that's called braguetazo in Spain.
Yeah, maybe the Godfather is Zapatero. I don't know.
I
don't know. Maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe. But I gotta be honest here. I don't think that. I think Dias Loureiro has passed the torch. I mean, now he's not the real guy, because in Portugal, I think Dias Loureiro is not so influential as he used to be back in the day. So he passed the torch. I think there are more. And by the way, Pollo started to imply that. And because he threatened as well to disclose a list of politicians, of Portuguese politicians, in connection with Venezuela. On this regard, Cristina, if you allow me, there's a book was written by a guy. It's a book about Trump, right? It's a book about Trump, not very apologetic of Trump, not very pro-Trump, but a book about Trump. and more from a foreign policy perspective, from a guy who is very connected, very well connected with all the Portuguese politicians, and he has a direct access to Portuguese government services, right? And he has a couple of pages about Venezuela, and it's very interesting. And he details a meeting with the Elliot Abrams, which was President Trump envoy to Venezuela.
Mhm.
And he writes that Portugal is very important to Venezuela. And why? And this is very interesting. First, Venezuela has Venezuela companies, headquarters, based in Portugal, based in Lisbon.
Yes. Yes.
And second, major financial transactions from Caracas are made in Portugal. So major financial transaction are being made in Portugal. So Portugal is the platform for the dirtiest financial transactions of Venezuela regime. And this is not a lunatic. This is not something from the
That's
internet.
not opinion. That's a fact.
No. This guy presents this as a fact, and this guy is the back of all the Portuguese government, right? So it's an inside source. And my question is, and this proves that this is not a secret, okay?
Yes.
It's not a secret. It was not necessary to arrest Pollo for us to know what is happening in the Iberian Peninsula. It was not necessary, right? So my question, sorry, Cristina, my question is why they are complicit with this? Why they are complicit with this? Everybody knows the criminal operations from Caracas regime. Everybody knows. And one of the interesting thing is that if you look at the Cuban ambassadors and the Venezuelan ambassador in Portugal, look, Venezuelan ambassador is Lucas Ricon Romero, one of the closest guys to Chavez, one of the closest guys to Lopollo. He's a top figure in the Venezuelan regime. He's not some guy. He's not some middle guy from Venezuela. No. He's one of the biggest guys, one of the most important guys from the Venezuelan regime. And he stayed in Portugal as an ambassador for more than 10 years. Can you imagine? More than 10 years. It's like unique case, right?
Tons of money.
Yeah. And if you look, one last note. If you look at the Cubans ambassador in Portugal, it's very interesting. The last one was Johanna de la Torre, and the current is Mercedes Martinez. Johanna de la Torre was the responsible for the relations between Cuba and the United States. She was a very anti-American, anti-United States. One of the closest people to Chavez, to Castro family, and it is not coincidence that they put Johanna de la Torre in Portugal. You see that the top guys in Venezuela and Cuba are stationed in Portugal, in Lisbon.
There is another very, very important guy, Spanish guy, who is called Baltasar Garzón. We have just found out that Baltasar Garzón invoices Chavista Venezuela for 9 million for coordinations with the state attorney general Lola Delgado, who has been and is actually his girlfriend. Which is the role of this guy? Because we are talking about that guy getting money from Venezuela for the issue of PDVSA.
PDVSA.
That enterprise who Raúl Morodo got empty with $35 million.
Garçon is the social warrior, very well concerned with human rights, social justice, as long as you pay them millions of dollars, right? If you pay them millions of dollars, he's a social activist, he's a social warrior. Well, I used to be very critical of Baltasar Garçon, but now, Cristina, I gotta be honest with you. I think that the stupid guy is not Garçon. The stupid guy is who paid Garçon, who is paying to Garçon. Why? Because he got humiliated in Cape Verde. His defense, legal defense, and if we read the media, right, the mainstream media, Garçon is a genius. He's a legal genius. He's invincible. He's a guy who never loses a case.
I know.
The judges in Cape Verde humiliated Garçon, basically called him a know nothing about law, right? A politician, right? A know nothing about law. And so he got humiliated in Cape Verde because the lawyer of Alex Saab was Garçon, the one who tried to stop the extradition of Alex Saab to Miami. Garçon again. So and now the lawyer of Pollo is Garçon, is Baltasar Garçon. So a bunch of good boys, right? Good folk. But go ahead.
Just we are finishing the interview because has been now longer even than 1 hour. So it has been an amazing interview. But I have to make you the last one, which I think that is quite important. It's not about all of this, but I have to ask you about Podemos and PSOE and the apartheid to Israel. I think that an essential characteristic in all the ultra-left and Nazi parties has been his hatred of Jews and his hate for dedicated to Israel. And in Spain, Podemos and PSOE have promoted this boycott to Israel in 58 municipalities of Spain.
That's a huge problem, right?
And it's amazing because this guy are always prescribing collective morality and support the idea that people like Trump and Bolsonaro are undemocratic. So people believe this from this sort of guys.
Yeah, because they first of all, it's a huge problem. We are now witnessing a rising in anti-Semitic discourse, anti-Semitic actions. And it's very interesting that these guys from far left, like Podemos, and Pablo Iglesias is the alma mater of all the far leftists in the Iberian Peninsula. The modus operandi, the way they operate in Portugal is like they learn from Podemos, okay? Because they are under the same umbrella, which is the Cuban intel services. But the anti-Semitic is one of the major issues. And what is more problematic here is that public institutions like universities, like townships, like councils of many institutions, like companies, private companies, are engaging with this discourse of the far left, and it's very interesting that they accuse other people to be fascist, Nazis, but they are the ones who are aligned with the neo-Nazis. Pablo Iglesias' speech is very alike to David Duke from the United States, the KKK. Sometimes ago, I collect a tweet from Pablo Iglesias and a tweet from David Duke, and they are the same.
They are the same.
And
That's right.
They are paid They are paid to go to Tehran.
Yeah, it's even the same t-shirt. Look at this.
Yes.
Yeah.
The same stickers, right? They are united, right? they have even in the outfit they are twins, but they are paid to go to Tehran to a summit about the Holocaust, and this is a freaking assembly of morons who say that Holocaust is a Jewish creation, is a Zionist creation, and we find there David Duke and the Podemos guys, right? And Podemos and far left, European far left, and this is very the ones who are outspoken are very dangerous, but worse than the guys who are outspoken are the guys who send subliminary messages. I give you an example. Remember when the United States annihilated, with the help of Israel, annihilated the General Soleimani, right?
Yes.
The next day, our media went nuts. Donald Trump initiates a new war.
That's right.
The general was not so bad because he kind of calmed down the Iranian generals to not go to a war. This guy is a bloodthirsty. This guy killed thousands of people. This guy was exporting terror to our neighborhoods, right? Because Hezbollah is all over us. Is a major threat that people are not taking very seriously so far. But this guy was a major threat to all of us, and the media cried for his death, right? And this is and why the important thing is why, because he was a danger to Israel, because the media have a common enemy, and that is Israel.
That's what is happening in Spain as well. With the main media, they are always so nice with Palestine and talking rubbish about Israel. This is happening in Spain as well.
Yeah. In the university, there's a university in Portugal. They call an institute. Center in Lisbon. Who organized the apartheid, against the apartheid week, right? And they call out for a boycott to Israel and to Israel culture and so on. And then they preach tolerance, right? They preach tolerance. And by the way, this is not condemned by the media. This is not condemned by anyone. So these guys who embrace the apartheid, this call for boycott to Israel, they have zero credibility, zero authority to preach and to try to explain to other people what democracy is about. This guy should, by the way, this guy should go to Israel and learn what is Israel, right?
I think that he knows, but he loves.
He loves the money, the dirty money of Iran, right?
He knows
the dirty money of Iran, and they are I call them the orphans of the Soviet Union. So they need to, if not to the Nazis, right? If not to the Nazis, and they need to appraise and to embrace the offended. They call the offended, I watched one video that you suggested last week, and it was quite impressive. But that's the philosophy. Pablo Iglesias told it all. He said that we must support Iran because Iran wants to destroy the United States, wants to destroy Israel. So they are all friends. They can kill women, they can kill homosexuals, they can kill whoever they want, but they want to kill the United States and they want to kill Israel, so they are our friends. That's the kind of mentality that is being that's being taught at our universities, at our colleges, and are poisoning our youth, and that is a threat, and this is a problem we must address. Thank God, for example, in the United States, there are a lot of laws and regulations against the boycott. So, for example, in Florida, it's illegal to appeal to the boycott to Israel, and I hope that Europe can follow the same path.
Well, it is not legal here neither, but they just they have their own justice. So
yeah, but that's the problem. That's the problem, Cristina. That's one. You touch in the right point. The problem is that we have regulations, we have laws, but the laws are just applied for one side.
Yes.
Yes. We have the problem. The United States, for example, and in the previous administration, but I guess in this administration as well, we gotta be straight. This administration is being very as well as being very attentive to these matters as well, especially regarding to Israel. And President Biden is trying to placate the far left from increasing in the Democratic Party, and we should give him some credit for that, and especially regarding to Israel and the defense of Israel. One of the things that is happening in Europe is that we have, for example, United States have sanctions, and the European Union tells the United States that we accept, we will have sanctions against Venezuela, against Iran, against this regime as well. But the problem is that in Europe, there is a major industry to invade the sanctions. So there are sanctions against Iran, there are sanctions against Venezuela, but they are not applied at all. They are not applied. They're not being applied. So when they say, sanctions does not work, it's not true, because they are not being executed. So on the contrary, there is a lot of industry. They are lawyers, they are politicians, they are lobbyists. That in Europe, they are specialized in how to invade the sanctions against Iran. And Portugal, by the way, is one of the major platforms to invade United States sanctions, especially on Iran.
Joao, has been a huge and big interview, but we will repeat again because it's been really a pleasure having you as analyst. There is no any other Spanish analyst right now in any TV that can compare with your knowledge about everything. So thank you so much. And we will repeat again. I'm pretty sure.
Anytime, Cristina. It's a great honor, and I will be keep watching your amazing shows.
Thank you so much, Joao.
Stay strong and stay brave as always.
Yes. You too. Bye.
Bye. See you. Bye.